Today, we're going to discuss whether or not we can rely on the private comps within CardLadder. CardLadder being the sales platform, the pricing platform that lets you know the current comps of cards being sold on auction sites and other selling platforms. And for those of you that are regulars on the channel will know that we discussed this, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, maybe a little bit less, when it came to the whole sports card therapist situation with the shield bidding, because he made some very interesting comments at the time that indicated he was doing something strange when it came to submitting private sales into CardLadder's platform. And that's what I want to try and delve into today, because they are the only platform, per my understanding, that allows users to submit private sales. And these can be sales via in-person transactions or on some kind of social media platform. Now, I don't think Market Movers allows this. I don't think CardHedge allows this. I don't think some of their other competitors allow this. So it's a pretty, interesting situation. And I'm sure you guys can understand exactly why that is the case, right? When you think about private sales, you think about people being easily manipulative when it comes to setting prices for cards to try and take advantage of people. And that's sort of what it sounded like with the whole sports card therapist situation, because he got caught essentially shield bidding some Eli Manning cards. And the way he sort of justified himself was that he said in his apology video that he quickly deleted, well, why would I want to push up the price of Eli Manning cards? I've submitted some private sales to CardLadder to push the prices down, which, I don't know if that was a Freudian slip on his part, basically speaking the silent part out loud, but, essentially off the back of me asking that question about those words in his video, CardLadder went ahead and removed his private sales. And I'll talk you through, how CardLadder actually, facilitate this, how they allow users to submit these things. But it's something that's worth keeping in mind that I want to try and break down today, whether or not this stuff is genuine, whether or not they should be doing it, and if they are doing it, should they be making some changes on how they present it back to us as the users. But in order to sort of, submit a private sale, they talk through it in this video over here, and I'll show you that now. I'll play it for you, and I'll come back in a sec.
If you go to a card, let's just pick a rare card, Luca Prism Gold, that you guys actually own one of those. So if you go to the profile, click View All Sales, where you get the full sales history. There's going to be a plus in the top right. That's a new addition. Next to the Purgatory button and next to Close, there'll be a plus. Click on that. You'll be presented with a modal where you can submit a private sale for review. So it's not going to just admit it, automatically put it into our database. It's going to put it in front of our eyes. Our researchers, we're going to take a look at it. The things you need to have first is to verify who you are. The transparency of it is you yourself. What is your profile link? Who are you? We also have, your user account, the person that submitted it, but some of that information is private. So we want you to be public in which sort of information you'd like to provide to us in order to vet. So the best way is, your Facebook profile or your Instagram profile. And that's required, actually. We will not let you submit a sale unless that's done. You can also change that from your account. So if you've already put in a profile link from your account, you won't be required to do this for every single one, just the first time. Next, obviously the price, the date. Next is going to be a URL, which is not required, but let's say that you have maybe a URL to a video where you film the transaction occurring on YouTube, or the Instagram post of where you showed that you received the card, or the seller, or whatever. Maybe you have a picture of it, something like that. Next is going to be the platform. There's a drop down where you can select private. That'll be the default option, so you'll see that it says private there. And then lastly is the type, or sorry, 2 more fields. The next last is the type of transaction. Was it a best offer, auction, fixed price? And then lastly, our notes. So if there's any final notes that you want to provide to us as researchers that we can use to shed light on the sale even further, that's helpful for us. So you can type as much as you want there. Really, can't leave out any detail for us that we want to look at. So once you get all of that in place, I'm going to keep going on the process. It goes into our pending state, where our research team is going to take a look at it and take a real hard look at it. We actually visually make those different than the other ones so they stand out. And then once it's approved, all of the information that was submitted to us is then displayed on the all-time sales history. Each sale is shown on a line item. We'll actually show the notes that the person put. There'll be a link to their profile, so you as a user can go check on other private sales and all the information.
So I'll stop the video there, because I think that's sort of important to leave it where it landed. Now, one of the other things they've talked to in other videos is that you have to be sort of a well-standing person within the hobby. That goes into consideration as well. You can't just be a random person. Well, you can, but if they see a random person submit a comp that doesn't look right, what they're saying is they're probably not going to approve it, versus somebody like a sports card therapist submitting them they might be more inclined because he's part of the, the positivity posse. And that's sort of where, the interesting element comes, because are they sort of doing enough to vet those things? Is it sufficient just to say that you're getting this kind of information from people and they're, good standing within the hobby? Is it sufficient enough to put it into your platform? I personally don't think it is. Private sales scare me quite a lot because I think it's a really easy way to manipulate it, especially when you look at things through the lens of some of the people that were considered to be, good standing people within the hobby: card porn, Shayway vlogs, sports card therapists, right? Those three individuals ended up doing some things that were quite disingenuous, right? And some worse than others, but did some disingenuous things that, nobody really knew, yet their position is, well, they'd review those and probably favor them in that instance, like they did with the sports card therapists. So from my perspective, given that you can't, ever really trust someone, how can you, be comfortable placing an emphasis on that? And I think that's the reason why their competitors haven't implemented something similar, because it's a really hard thing to police. And the whole, logic behind their platform is to give comfort to the user that the sales are, complete and they are accurate, right? It's trying to not misrepresent things. It's trying to create value for the user. And because there's always going to be a question mark over private comps, where's the value, right? Why are you safe as a business? Why are you comfortable as a business putting that information in front of your users? And one of the things these guys will say is the fact that if you click into the sales history and you click into all the sales, you can clearly see which ones were private listings. But I consider that to be not enough, right? What should be happening, I've told Chris this when I first asked questions about how the private comp service worked, was, well, that's fine, you can do it that way, but I think you need to add one additional measure, and that one measure being the dots, the sales on the line chart that was mentioned in that video should be a different color for private comps, because what is more than likely happening is the person is looking for a comp, is looking at the line chart and line chart only, and they're going to click on a few things. They might not instantly see that it's a private sale. But if you're trying to bring transparency to your process and you want to bring comfort to your process and you want to say, listen, we want to give you guys as much comfort for using this tool as possible, we want to make sure you're best protected, that's something that should be happening, right? They should have a different color dot for the private sale if they want to go ahead and still keep using this, purely for the fact it's so easy to manipulate. And I've talked to you guys before. I'm an auditor. I also work in the innovation space. My background is in visualizations, actually. So, also I'm an auditor. I'm also, a Power BI specialist. So when I'm looking at stuff like that, when it comes time to presenting information to your users, you want to be clear. You want to be transparent. You don't want to be opaque. You don't want to be, muddying the waters. You want to make it as crystal clear as possible. And if they want to maintain private sales, they should be changing the color of those dots. Otherwise, you've potentially got sales in there that people are manipulating to take advantage of others. Because if you are somebody that is, good standing within the hobby, would it be that difficult for you to put fake comps in there? Sure, maybe you want to buy a card for a cheaper price and you take some photos, you and a mate who's also a pretty big follower on Instagram. You've both got big accounts. Let's try and push the price up of, this Christian Vieri Flawless card, this one over here, right? It's a $100 card, $100 US card, but I want to try and buy them all. I'm going to, say I sold this to you for $60, right? You help me submit this to Card Ladder. All of a sudden it's in there. Now, the next time I go to a card show, because I'm going to the National, right, and I'm hoping to find some of these there, I'm now going to point to that and say, well, actually, the last one sold for $60. I want to get it off you for $40. When in reality, that $60 sale is fake, right? And I'm sure, that's happened with some of these private sales. I think you're, really naive to think otherwise. Now, I would have put some other things on screen for you to sort of see how the private sales show up and things like that, but I just don't think this is a sensible way to be approaching things. And I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say down below. Like I said, there's a reason why their competitors and their peers are not using the same feature, per my understanding, and I think it comes down to the fact that you can't truly rely on them, so why are they there? Now, my question to Card Ladder would be, because I know they've had a lot of accusations towards them in the past about many different things, but I'm only focusing in on this one thing right now. And my messaging to them would be, well, if you want to do what's best for your platform and your customers, I think the suggestion I made is something that you need to do. You need to change the color of those dots. I don't think it impacts your business process all that much, and whilst you might be vetting them and putting all the effort in to make sure that what is coming through is genuine, like we've seen with the sports card therapist, how can you be comfortable that that is the case? If you've got some people shilling and then they're also submitting private sales, can you trust those private sales? And yes, you should be commended 100% for removing them when I notified you of them. But I think you guys need to go one step further and say, okay, we want these private sales to be a market differentiator for us. We understand they're going to be hard to sort of vet, and we understand they're going to slip through sometimes because you can't truly trust anyone. we want to keep doing it, but you know what? We're going to actually change the color of the dots to make it more visible for the users to spot this sort of stuff. Now, I can't recall if I mentioned earlier, when people are going to be quickly looking, they're going to be looking at the line chart only. They're probably not going to be looking in the details where you click into the list and you can actually see that it's a private sale. So you sort of need to protect your customers. Now, at the end of the day, people are responsible for their own actions, as we've talked many times on this channel. But at the same time, from the school of thought that I come from, people are dumb. You need to protect their own stupidity, because at the end of the day, they're going to do something dumb and it's going to come back on you. So, you know, as always, guys, please share your thoughts down in the comments below. I finally got to this video. Ziggy, he was chasing me to put it together. It's just been, you know, really hectic, and actually wanted to sit down and think through how I wanted to talk to this, because I think it's a really important one, and one that could be, you know, manipulating certain sales. So again, Card Ladder has lots of issues. There's lots of things I want to talk about for these guys, but for this video in particular, we'll just talk about the private sales. So, you know, as always, guys, share your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.